Hello, Uta here on Tuesday, the first Tuesday of September. Excited to tell you that I was able to call in to Kelly J. Keene's Terf Talk Tuesday. And there was quite a delay in my being able to hear what she said. But in any case, she let me go on and on about how I'm collecting information on trans widows, and I told her that the famous Rex Landy turns out to be a trans widow. She has given me permission to tell her story through my voice and using her name, because she's already been canceled. She's already been put on mute when she was speaking to the New Zealand Parliament. So she knows it all. And it turns out that the father of her child was a cross-dresser. So I'm just going to give you the profile of her data. Rex Landy, trans widow testimony. Was his cross-dressing a revelation or your discovery? I discovered the suitcase of considerable delusion. Let me say that again, the suitcase of considerable delusion. Under the bed one day, after I'd moved from London to Scotland and was effectively homeless if I moved. 3 months pregnant at the time, too. I knew he liked alternatives in the bedroom. BDSM was just starting its resurgence to go mainstream. I knew he liked role play from time to time. But he kept it buttoned up tight as F before I moved in. Well, that is, of course, a typical pattern. Number 2, did he tell you it's under control, not frequent, and then escalates out of control? He claimed it was occasional, could stop at any time, LOL. I can just hear her wonderful Maori New Zealand voice. He claimed it was occasional, could stop at any time, LOL, and was just a sideline. Nothing to be worried about. It dominated his thoughts, and every chance to go out, dressed, was a thrill. I tried to be supportive as I thought it was harmless. Pathetic, but harmless. So 22 years ago would be about 2001. So that's just about 10 years after my purgatory started. Nothing about selecting a therapist's money. That's number 4. Did he put money in a secret account? Did he incur credit card debt? This is her answer. We starved so he could buy his sheesh. After I said, well, I guess you're going to do this anyway, so here's 3 rules. Don't take money from the family account for this. 2, never in front of the kid. 3, tell me if you're going to one of your meetups, so if there's a crash/accident, I can talk to your parents before the plod do. And he still used the family money for himself. Yeah, okay. Did he wear your clothing or makeup? Not my clothing. I had a wonderful selection of baby poo covering items. Haha, you know, the mummy's wardrobe where if you're covered, on it goes. Makeup, he bought all his own things, like a typical narcissist. Number 6, did he coerce about the role play in bed? She says no, his role play was more along the dominant/submissive bossing around scenario. Him dressing was satisfying in and of itself. Well, anyway, that's an interesting detail. Did a therapist suggest any of that? There were no professionals. Did he vilify you? She says, I was lucky. We weren't married and we lived in Scotland. If you didn't sign the birth certificate or the parental rights and responsibilities form, you have no say under Scottish law what the mame does with the barn. and we fled. Or maybe it's Bern. And that's interesting. In born, I think, is a child in Norwegian. Did he claim to any therapist or group of friends that you abused him? No. She said there was nobody. He had one friend and 3 work acquaintances. Nobody was going to stop me from taking that baby and fleeing. Did he attack you physically? Once in my pregnancy, when we argued. He raised his hand to me. I told him to think long and hard about it, because if he didn't knock the F out of me with his first strike, I'd come at him with everything I had and try to end him. Hand lowered, simmering resentment was the flavor of the atmosphere for the next 5 months of my pregnancy. You know, I almost feel like that's a yes, because he raised his hand. You know, might be assault but not battery, or it was at least menacing. Okay. About any kind of forced sexual assault or anything, she says, I am lucky in that I'm a strong-willed woman and physically able to defend myself. How sad to write that. I had shut the F up sex once or twice to get him to shut, you know. Did you live below the poverty line? She says, I cheated while living with him by claiming an unemployment benefit to feed my baby. I did what I had to. I've been in abject poverty ever since I left. I pay that price willingly to be without the gaslighting narcissistic bastard. Nothing with clergy saying anything. Okay, let's see, that was 13, 14. Nothing about having to share Mother's Day. He's on the other side of the world. And nothing with her own therapy having to name him as female. Did you lose a set of friends? She said, I never really had any anyway, and the couple I did make in Scotland while I was there didn't betray me. She said about self-identifying as mother, she said, no, I think now that he's aged, he's back in reality land. And nothing about a version of mum or mama that he wanted to be called. 22 years ago, he was a cross-dressing transvestite, I guess. Massive fetish. And yes, 95% of why I left. And not misty-eyed about it. Time heals, blah, blah. The only thing he said at the get-go when we talked was, he said, I'm the pretty one. And the guffaws, they're louder than the guffaws, or guffaws, that ensured he knew he was a panty-sniffing, cross-dressing T-R-A-N-N-Y. Never a woman. Ha-ha. Okay, we're almost at the end. 19. Did a therapist or husband or any of his relatives that your rejection? No. He just moved off and found another idiot. Oh, she doesn't think that he co-opts her experience of childbirth or anything. And at the end, she says tardy once again for the tardy. Sorry. Sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Sorry once again for the tardy reply. And to that, I just want to say, often a trans widow will take a couple of weeks to reply to me. And what I say is, you can send it to me 5 questions at a time. I understand that it's hard. And what I always suggest, of course, is watch my Wellness Movements playlist and make a plan for after you're done sending it back to me. To go out in nature, do something with a friend, do your exercises, go out in the garden, just clear your mind. And I would have to say that now that I'm collecting data, I can kind of compartmentalize a lot about my own pain. and the past. So let's see. And she said, keeps my hand busy for real, LOL. Thanks for asking me, and what an important resource. And I mentioned you, Rex, on Kelly J. Keene's Terf Talk Tuesday, number 49 from today. And just thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege. I can't believe, how many women we're now connecting with. And look how the light is coming in on these flowers and just making them luminescent. Be well always.